Hey everybody, thanks for joining the session today. There's clear skies in the background, so no thunderstorms for this session. So we'll get started with what is an enhanced virtual race. Virtual race is basically where participants can submit results on their own. And we've done a lot of work on new features to help support that over the past couple of months due to coronavirus. We've added features such as submitting results via text, where now RaceJoy can submit results directly from the app. And we also have going right to the race website and submitting directly or via the profile. This tool automatically ranks and sorts people, so you can come in real time, and people that submit times early in the morning can get automatically sorted if somebody comes in and posts their time later. And this is for traditional race style where you would have just a 5K, and we now have a challenge option as well to handle the virtual results. So let's kind of get into some examples of what those are. So the first one would be more of a traditional virtual race where the Scott Coffee Run was an 8K, and they switched to completely being virtual this year. And it was a traditional virtual race where everybody would just run and log the 8K run all in one shot. Likely the virtual component is going to be a mainstay for the future. So we see a lot of people that are going to probably incorporate this as a potential option moving forward. Another option would be kind of having a virtual style component with the challenge. And we have a new component feature where as a community or as a race and as a whole, anybody that logs miles will get tallied up to whatever goal that they want to do. So for the determination runs the country for the American Cancer Society, they set a lap of basically the length of the United States, and they had all participants that logged their miles accumulated to over 3 times the laps across the United States for their charity. And the last option would be a pure challenge style. We're seeing a lot of these for high school cross-country training over the summer, where the team would log their miles individually, and you can still do the challenge component that way, or you can compete different teams across the area where it's focused on the alumni and the actual participants in the high school. So let's kind of look into how virtual results are submitted. The first option is going to be basically directly from the results page. And so I just kind of want to do a live view of how to do that. So taking a look here at the virtual results page, at the very top is the Submit Virtual Results button. And it's very easy to come in here and just say, I want to submit results. I'm going to come into the participant lookup, and I'll type in my name. Looks up my registration here. I can look at my registration details, or I can go ahead and log my activities. So I'll go in and I'll say I did a 4-mile run for 30 minutes, and I'll scroll to the bottom to submit. There is an option here to require me to be logged in when I submit results, but we give that an option, and we'll kind of go through that in the next slides here. So we'll just put in an elevation gain since that's required here, and I'll submit my activity. So it's very easy. Also, we have some options here that if I'm not logged in, I'll just log out real quick and go back to the race. If I hit the results page, I'll go submit results. I'll look myself up, and I'll go to log activities for me, but I'm not logged in, so I can verify my submission via my email address or the last 4 digits of my phone number. And now I can go in and quickly log my results. So this is really good for people that might not necessarily remember to stay logged in or forget. It's very easy for them to submit their results. The last thing that I want to cover is one option that we're seeing a lot of people come into. That would be, put my MFA password in here. And so when you're logged in, there is an option on your profile to be anonymous. If you go into your profile, a lot of users don't want to necessarily put themselves as they put themselves as anonymous so they don't show up on public lists. And that can be a problem when they're trying to look up their registration and submit results if they have this setting here to show as anonymous on public lists and race results. So to give you an example of that, we'll go back to the race. And when I go to submit results, I'm back at this page, submit results. I'm going to look myself up. And when I go to look up my registration, it's going to say we cannot find this participant. And that's because I'm anonymous in the list. So it's not going to show that I'm even registered. However, there is some additional help text at the bottom here. It says if I've registered for this race as an anonymous account, I can click here, which will take me to my information, and I can manage my registration. And now that I have access to my registration, because I'm logged in, that's the reason that I could get to that information, I can now submit my results. So when somebody is selected as anonymous, they might as well check the box to require a login, because it's going to require them to be logged in order to submit results anonymously. So that's one common trip up that we have seen from support. So we'll head back over to the slides here. And some other options, again, there's the direct profile submission. If I just logged straight into my profile and went to my race, I could just go to the submit results link. And this is something that pretty much everybody can use. Another option for traditional races, this is where it's a single event submission, such as the Scott Coffee 8K, is I can opt in to submit results via text. I can also receive messages and updates from the race. And I'm basically putting in my message or keyword, putting in my bib number, and then putting in my time. And so right now this only works for direct races. It doesn't work for challenges. Another option of submission for participants is directly through the RaceJoy app. So if you are working with a certified timer, you can enhance your virtual race experience by offering RaceJoy. It's a GPS tracking that will track me along the course, or we have a RaceJoy Anywhere option where it can track my distance. So if it's a 5K, it'll track me running 5K, and it will automatically submit the real-time mobile scored results directly from the app. So it does require you to enable in-app results, and bib numbers must be assigned for participants to be able to be tracked through the RaceJoy app. Right now, we don't currently support challenges, but we are working, and that's hopefully coming by the end of summer, probably in the August, September timeframe, to support challenges for RaceJoy. So that's exciting. And the most recent option that we've added is the ability to submit a file. So a GPX file or a FIT file are two popular kind of tracking apps. And so you can easily just click the load activity from file button and browse to my GPX or FIT file. And it's going to automatically put in my time and the distance of the race. And if there's any elevation from my file, it'll put that in there as well. So it's very easy ways for participants to submit their results from the front end or through an app or a file. So let's get into actually setting up the structure of your race so participants can submit results. This is going to be under the Race Day Tools tab in your dashboard under the Enhanced Virtual Race, and you would click Setup Virtual Race. You can also just use the menu search and type in virtual. In order to be a virtual race, though, you have to enable that as an event type in the Race Wizard. So be sure to go back into the Race Wizard and check the type of event and make sure it's set up to virtual race or challenge. And then in the dashboard, the navigation is right through Race Day Tools, Enhanced Virtual Race, and Setup Virtual Race. So just a reminder for the Enhanced Virtual Race features is if you don't have bibs, and it makes it difficult for results, we do recommend you to set up automatic bib assignment. That way you can also use the digital bib feature as well. Bibs need to be assigned before the messages are sent for the tech support, because the whole functionality of them is to reply back to the code, reply their bib number, which allows us to know exactly what participant it is, and then post their time. And so because of the text option for the way it's submitted in results in that format, we don't support it for challenges. So let's get into the actual setup. So this is the race director view and the enhanced feature setup. You can customize your HTML or any type of text with registration instructions. And this basically is going to show up in the registration path. So you can kind of add a little bit more to the experience as people are registering. They will get the choice to opt in to the text or email notifications, or they can opt out completely. This is a race level setting, so if you have a 5K, a 10K plus a challenge or different types, the registration instructions will be similar across all event registrations. So let's look at what that looks like in registration path. We had a custom image as well as some text that was marked up in bold, plus some colors. And so this is how it looks like during the registration process. And participants can then opt into the email or text. Participants also select their time zone, and that's for the messaging capabilities. We don't submit somebody who registered on the West Coast. If you have the messaging go out at 8 a.m., it's not going to go out at 5 a.m. on the West Coast. It's actually going to go out at 8 a.m. of their specific time zone. So that's a neat feature as well. Back to the setup of the enhanced race settings. As we scroll down that page in the dashboard a little bit further, we have our result settings. You want to set a time frame of when participants can actually start submitting results and when that result submission ends. So you want to have a time frame of when they have to get their results in, but I also do recommend advertising a submission ends date, but actually maybe adding 1 or 2 days to the end of that, because inevitably participants are going to forget to submit that time. And so kind of giving a little bit of a lag on the ends date is a good option. You set up your result set. That's going to basically create a unique result where it's going to pull everybody into one specific leaderboard. We do have alternate event submission support, so we'll get into that of how you do bundles and different types of challenge examples. And you would set up the different activity types for what participants can do for the virtual race. So a traditional virtual race would basically be times only because the distance of the event is pretty much a given. But to do a challenge, you would just turn on the multiple activities toggle to allow participants to come back and submit more than one result. This is also good even in a traditional virtual race as well. So there might be some people that don't feel comfortable or haven't gotten up to running a full 5K at once. You might want to allow them to log, a mile or a half mile at a time. So you can allow for multiple activities even for a traditional race as well. The distance is the main functionality that we have now for the challenges, which allows you to do cumulative leaderboards, shows the laps across the United States like we saw in the American Cancer Society Challenge as well. We also do time validation. The time validation is per activity type. So you want to kind of look into the distances that you want people to record and put some kind of validation around that as well. The miscellaneous settings at the bottom of the page are pretty important. This is where, when we are doing the results submission, I recommend that you allow people to submit just by putting in the last 4 digits of their phone number or their email, to not necessarily require them to be logged in. And then it's a really big ask if you have a large race to approve every single result that comes in. For the most part, challenges and virtual races are on the honor system, and the people are really only cheating themselves for cheating times and things like that. But there is an option to having the race approve every single time if they wanted to. So let's quickly talk about the alternate events. We see a lot of races that offer different types of registration options than the timer or they would like their results to look like. So in this example, we are having a 3-race series where somebody can sign up for all 3 races at once, or they can sign up for the races individually. And so for this, we want a unique result set for everybody. It doesn't matter if I register for the series or if I only register for one of the races. Those participants should be in the same leaderboard. And so this is one example of kind of like a series registration. And it's a way to kind of promote both the series at one time for maybe a reduced cost to get more participation, as well as offer individual races as well. So when we look at the event setup on here, for that bundle, the bundle is not going to have its own result set. The bundle is basically pushing people to submit results to the individual races. So when you're creating a result set for that series race, you're going to choose alternate event submission only. And then the alternate events for that are going to be the June race, the July race, and the August race. And so this is how you handle results. The messaging is still separated per event. So you can customize special messaging for those people that register for the series that could be different than the messaging for each individual race. And so from the front end, if we look at how that looks, if I go to submit my results, right on that results page on the left-hand side, I have a button that says I'm going to submit results for race 1 for June. I can use that drop-down menu to submit results for different races. And then when you look at the overall leaderboards, which is the image on the right-hand side, you see how it's only split up into 3 separate races, because that's what this race actually is offering, and there's not a separate result set for that bundle. On the inverse, a lot of races do alternate pricing examples where they have multiple different registration options, but there's only one overall leaderboard. And this is common for marketing style pricing, where age-based pricing or membership pricing isn't necessarily desired. And so you're offering a choice of the type of options they're doing. So this is the Napoleon Dynamite 5K, where you can run a 5K or you can run a 5K with chapstick. So we're going to look at the back end of how we set that up. And for this style, the 5K is the overall leaderboard which we want participants to submit to. So the 5K with chapstick, or the 5K with whatever additional 5K military pricing, 5K youth, things like that, that would be the alternate event submission, where the main result that they're submitting towards is just the overall generic 5K. And so how that looks when you go to submit results, it doesn't matter if I'm registered for the special pricing option or the regular one. I just come to the submission page and I just type in my time. And then you'll see on the right-hand side, there's only one result set. So everybody, regardless of pricing package or tier, they are all submitted in the same result set. So there's lots of examples of these alternate events guides, and we have a special setup guide under our runsignup.com/challenge platform hub. On the right-hand side of the menu is the setup guide. That'll be written instructions for all the basic steps, as well as a video setup guide and an advanced setup instructions for more complex events. So one thing to note is each event that you're going to have results for, you need to actually have a separate event in the system. There's plenty of ways to kind of hide that in the registration process. And these guides will kind of walk you through how to do that. So that way you can do the result set, but also have the participant display mechanisms that you want for your race website. So let's get into the activity types, which is the next setup after you've completed the enhanced virtual race settings. The activity types are primarily used for challenges. You can set up multiple activity types. There's run, walk, bike. There's even custom options that you can do to basically set up whatever you want. You can do push-ups, as Bob mentioned, popsicles eaten or anything like that. And so the different options here are to set up what that distance tally type is going to be, and you can put a maximum tally type. So it is nice to uniquely set up your tally for the total amount of your challenge. So in this example, we have a 200-mile challenge, and so the run activity is equal to 200 miles, since I can't submit more than 200 miles since I'll be at the end of the activity. We do have distance conversion, so people are logging distance in kilometers or miles, it'll automatically convert for you. And then there's options to require activities. Those are primarily used for triathlons, but they can be used for other stuff, such as like a CrossFit type of example where you have to do multiple activities per submission. But for the majority of challenges that we're seeing, you wouldn't set up the activity type. How this looks on the front ends, if you enabled the splits option or if you enabled the tally, those two checkboxes, the splits will show up on the results leaderboard. So here's the generic leaderboard page, and the field activity shows the total based off of the different activity types that were added. When you drill into any of these in individual result sets, you click into the name, it'll take you right into the individual result record. And the individual result record will allow people to log activities directly from their result. But those activity fields, the splits and the totals, will appear at the bottom of their page as well. There's also a list of their recent activities that they can quickly edit, or they need to update it for some reason, they can just click on the edit icon. Or if they know they accidentally logged the same activity more than once, they can click the trash icon to delete it. And then everything will go back through the filter to recycle and resort the results. This is also where the real-time map will show, is in their individual result page. And so we'll get to that in the goal setup a little bit later. So now that we've set up the basic structure of the race and the activity types, we want to communicate to our participants and let them know more about our event. So again, for text messaging, this would be only for traditional races where there's a single distance submission. You can turn the text option on, and there's a 3 to 8 character keyword that must be unique throughout the entire RunSignup system. So if you get an error message, just try and change your character code, and that will be the text code that they would reply to. Participants must opt into this. Traditionally, they would opt into it during registration, but they can go to their profile and manage their registration to opt into this if you set this up after registration is already live. But we do not support text messaging for challenges, so you should leave that off if you're doing a challenge. The next setup is the default details page. So we have these replacement tags that are going to help communicate exactly what the participant needs to know, and that's going to link them to this default details page that's going to give them instructions on how to submit the results directly on the RunSignup system. So I recommend using the default page, but you can create your own unique URL if you wanted to enhance how you wanted to interact with the participants, and that would show up in the replacement tag automatically and redirect them to your custom page. But even if you use the RunSignup default, you can still include a unique URL as well as a video option to kind of enhance that page a little bit. So for the example in our participant messaging section, this is kind of gives you a preview of what those replacement tags look like. Highlighted in yellow is the custom URL, and that's also highlighted at the bottom of the slide for runsignup.com/VR, which is just short for virtual race, and then / my text code, which is VTR10. So what that looks like on the front end, if I were to get that message and click on that link, either via my text message or via my email, it takes me directly to that page on your race website. This example, the video and the link appear at the top of the page. So there's the video with some instructions that I had created with a special link. And then the posting your results section here at the bottom kind of walks them through how to submit it via text message. And it's all based off of the settings for your particular race. And it also gives you an example of what to submit there at the bottom. So back to the race director side, as we scroll down the page a little bit, we do have 2 messages that if you do set this up, again, the messaging is completely optional, but it's definitely recommended to enhance the experience, and you can set these automated times up, such as your welcome message to come out on the first day of the challenge, and then maybe a reminder message later that day once they've maybe done their activities and are ready to submit their activities. So by default, the replacement tag must appear in the text message and the email because text messages are only 160 characters. Most of that is already taken up with the default text, but you do have a little bit of characters to include for the text. And the email message option, there is a WYSIWYG editor that you can include images, and you can spice up that message a little bit more as well. So just to kind of preview and look, when you add an image to the race, kind of like a banner, just like a normal email banner, and then you have your normal replacement tags. Speaking of replacement tags, the tags for this section are unique to this section. So if you're used to our email system where you include an email, hi, first name, last name, and things like that, those email tags are specific to the email marketing. The race virtual results tags are unique to the virtual race experience. And so you'll see an example here of both the text option and the email submission. In addition to the welcome message and the submission reminder, you can include up to 3 additional reminder texts, which do have a little bit of a caveat that are smart and will know to submit to somebody whether they've submitted results or they haven't yet submitted results. So you can kind of tier out and customize the experience by reminding people who haven't submitted results, and the system will automatically know that. Or you can just thank them for participating in your race because they've already submitted results. So those are some nice things as well. And again, these are all optional. They're not required to turn on at all. And so here's the last section is a results upload instructions. So this can help guide participants on how to submit results. We went through the front end a little bit on how easy it is, but you can add some additional niceties to your page. And so for here, we've customized that somebody's ready to log their next activity and encourage them to instruct, to get them right to submitting their results. And then we've also added an image just to kind of jazz it up a little bit here. And this can help reduce support issues. So if you're getting a lot of questions from participants, step back and look at your race and see what you can do to add to the results upload instructions to kind of reduce that support and get them confident in logging activities and coming back to keep logging their daily activities. So how that looks on the front end. Now when I go to log my results, I have a nice little image here. It's just further branding of the race and encouraging participants and thanking them for submitting their results. So let's get into goals. The goals are a very exciting feature for the virtual results. This is used for challenges because you have an overall goal. There's a progress bar option as well as a map support. So this is an interactive map that will appear at the individual results level. Participants can look themselves up as well as their friends, and there'll be basically a plot point on the map based off of the distance that the runner has done. So if I've done 100 miles of my 200-mile race, I would have a little icon, halfway across the map, and then I can search, my other teammates, and they'll show that along the course as well. Some common files or common systems to upload KML files would be Google Maps, Google Earth, and Map My Run are just some software types that we've heard of having success with uploading KML files. And again, here's the front end where it shows at the bottom of my activity report, the little map with a little icon marker slowly moving across the map. So we're all in this together as a team, and we just released team results now. So in addition to the individual leaderboard, where it would track an individual runner, we have a team results option. So you see on the left-hand side, the team results button will be there right at the top of the results page, and that'll flip me to what's shown on the right-hand side, which is a team leaderboard, which is an aggregate of the total distance for each team that has been submitted. There's links directly to the team page. We're adding more links to kind of go back and forth between the individual leaderboard and the team leaderboard, as well as additional support for these the team leaderboard to add more customizations, such as the distance run that we have, as well as elevation and many more features to come. So be on the lookout for team leaderboard updates. We also show if you have social teams or groups and teams enabled, the tally will show up right on that team page, as well as a join link so people can register and join that team. And it also shows you where you appear currently in the team competition. So let's get into some result page customizations. This is basically from the race director end of things. So when you're logged in as the race director and you go to the results page, you'll notice that there's a couple little icons on the page that don't appear for your participants or when you're logged out. You can actually click on the edit icon shown here to customize the different columns that show up. So for challenges and virtual results, there's no chip timing. So we always recommend to hide the chip time column. And depending on if you have a challenge or not, you might want to hide the age-based percentage column. An age-based percentage is just basically a grading scale off of the world record for common distances. But if you're coming up with a unique distance that's not a normal 5K, 10K, or marathon, then you can hide additional columns. And so that's always important to make sure that your results looks nice on the front end. If you have a lot of columns, it can be scroll happy from the left to the right. And this is a way that you can easily clean that up. You also have the ability to manually add results. Sometimes participants either aren't able to upload results on their own, or maybe it's past that result submission and you don't want to allow them to add results on their own, but you as the race director want to manually do that. The plus sign is an add results button, and this is going to kind of take you through a new flow if you've done this in the past before. This is actually getting you to submit results directly to the virtual result leaderboard, so everything is sorted properly. And so it's going to give you a pop-up and you basically type in the person's name. If the person hasn't been added to the race, because maybe they were an offline entry or something, you would need to make sure that they're imported into the race before you can add a result. And this is going to tie that result directly to the participant record as well. So if they do look at their RunSignup profile later, they'll see this result because it's been tagged and tied right to them. Some other options, because you're setting up the virtual race and we recommend setting up bibs, you might as well go ahead and set up digital bibs. And this is, again, under the race day tools, click on bibs. And after you've set up automatic bib assignment, go ahead and click on customize digital bib. So here's some examples of what this looks like. When I view my bib, I can easily share directly to social media, or I can even print it out if I wanted to. And you can customize your sponsor logos, your race logos, and just kind of add more, kind of that digital footprint to your race to make it more real. So where we set that up again is just under the customized digital bib section. Again, you must have bibs assigned for the digital bib to work. And so you might as well go ahead and assign that at registration time with whatever bib range that you wanted to do. And we have some multiple different options here. You can either use one of our templates or you can upload your own design. We always recommend uploading your own design just to kind of make it more unique to your race. And the default size that we recommend, just so it kind of looks okay on the pages, is going to be 775 in pixels by 600 pixels. That makes it a nice kind of squarish rectangle to fit right on the page nicely. And so where is my digital bib? Once you set this up, where do the participants go to get it? So they automatically get a link in their confirmation email. So that's another reason why you want to get this set up prior to people registering. But if you've set this up after people have already registered, then we have an email with a replacement tag. And so you can link them directly to the pre-race bib. And also, if they go right to their RunSignup profile on the right-hand side under their particular race, on the bottom link is the view pre-race bib or view digital bib option. And another thing just to enhance the experience is when people are logging their activities and looking at the goal leaderboards is to look at the finisher certificate. And this is under the race day tools, under the results tab, and then customize finisher certificates. So here's a couple examples of the Keywest challenge. And again, this was customized because by default, we're going to show the clock time for a normal virtual race or a normal race. And so by default, you'll want to go in there and turn off the clock time if it's just a challenge for submitting miles. And so when you set it up, there's going to be like these little grid areas where you can customize whether you want the participant's name to show up, the clock time, any of their splits. You can do sponsor logos and even event logos to kind of pop up and show up dynamically on the finisher certificates. So again, this is under the race day tools, under the results tab and customize finisher certificate. And the digital bib that we just covered is actually an extension of the finisher certificate. So the same kind of template options that you have in the upload, it'd be the same pixel dimensions of 775 by 600 for a nice looking finisher certificate. So here's kind of a list of some of the components that you can put in there. We now support activity totals. So that way, if you're only allowing them to submit how many miles they've run or how many miles they've biked or any kind of custom options, you can even use those components on the first finisher certificates as well. And so where's my finisher certificate? From the participant end of things, they can view this from their individual results page. We also have an email marketing replacement tag that'll take somebody right to their individual results link. And the certificate is shown here with a little red arrow right underneath their bib. They can click on the option for certificate. With traditional races, right beside that certificate option would also be a link to their photos and even finisher video if the race has uploaded those options as well. One advanced technique is under the results setup and links section in race day tools is that you can customize a QR code. So when you're printing physical bibs, you can put a QR code on it, not only to do quick check-in for the bib number, but on the back of the bib, you can have the QR code take the participant directly to their result once they've been posted and uploaded online. So that's also another nice little feature that you can link people to the finisher certificate. So let's also talk about Race Joy Anywhere. So this is some cool technology that you can do to enhance the race experience. And again, if you're doing Race Joy as part of a real race where participants can run your actual physical course, there is an option to extend that, not to just the certain day of your race, like a traditional race, but you can kind of expand that gap to do it on multiple days. If you also do a Race Joy Anywhere where participants don't have to physically run your course with the app, you will need to set up 2 separate events in the RunSignup system. That way you can upload the Race Joy map to the traditional course, as well as set up the Race Joy Anywhere feature. And so your certified timer will be able to set that up for you. And it's just a way to enhance the virtual experience. And so it's a really neat option to do, and the challenge support is coming soon. So here's just kind of from the participant side, if I've submitted my results through my 5K. Again, if I've run the actual course, the course will auto submit my time because I've started and run along the real course, as well as the Race Joy Anywhere option. If I've completed the full distance of the race, it will automatically submit my results through the app. And so everything gets ranked and sorted in the live leaderboard. So let's quickly cover some things to know about virtual races. So race divisions for challenges are not supported, and that's because traditional divisions were based off of total of time, and it's going to sort the least, the person who has the least time to cover the distance. And so if somebody's done a challenge and they've logged, 6 hours because they're, 50 miles into their race, and I've only logged one distance of 1 mile at 10 minutes, I'm going to show up first in the leaderboard because I have the least amount of time. And so we don't currently support race divisions for challenges, but we do support race divisions for the traditional race where somebody's just submitting their full activity in one shot. So you can set up custom divisions for that. Again, we don't do text messaging for events with multiple activities. It has to be the one-shot submission like a traditional virtual race. And we definitely recommend setting up bib assignment before you kind of get going with any of the other features. And that's just easy to do automatic bib assignment. When the first person registers, they get the first bib that you set up in your range, and so on and so forth until all bibs have automatically been assigned. And then custom activity types, you can support many different options. So you can really think outside of the box to do unique challenges. There's a lot of running challenges, run across this state, run across that state. People have added biking, but people have also added custom things like how many books have I read over the summer, like a summer reading challenge. It could literally be anything that could be unique to your charity, a nonprofit, or just kind of unique participant group. The cover page component, if you do a challenge, I definitely recommend adding this to your cover page. You can customize the image, the title, the goal. You can even put a button to submit their results or to register, however you wanted to do it. And this can be a full width component or a split. So it kind of depends on your map. I like full width with the entire United States. And I think it just looks really nice. And it's a way to have a cumulative total of every single activity that your participants have logged show up on the front end to really kind of drive home the goal that we're all in this together. And so just wanted to also cover on some things that are coming in the future and what we're working on. So we're going to continue expanding team support options. Think of a lot of stuff. If you're a traditional timer and like cross-country style scoring, like those types of features will come to challenges and supported both for the challenges and cross-country and vice versa. We're going to be doing milestones and badges. So if you think of like a 200-meter goal or 200-mile goal, and halfway through is a big milestone or a particular city, you can basically set up postcards that you're welcoming people across the different challenges, and the badges will show up on the individual results link as well. So that's probably going to be mid to late July on that. We're also going to allow users to upload their own photos of their runs. So as I submit my activity, not only can I load up my file, directly, I can also upload a photo to go along with it. So those are some nice updates as well. We're always working on user experience improvements just to make things a little bit easier for your participants to log, and also make things easier for you to get set up, to make things easier to kind of navigate as well. We have activity validation and activity management features where you can set up more customizations on you want to allow people to submit results before or after the submission date, or what the times are on each individual unique activity. We're going to be expanding our goal options to support team goals. So not only am I going to have my individual plot along that course map, but I can have my team plot. So the aggregate total of my team can also show up on that goal map in the future. And then we're also looking for user design custom map goal support. So think of, running to Mordor for like a Lord of the Rings challenge, or coming up with, a Candyland map that's, completely unique, or even running around the moon or something would be kind of neat to have as different goal options. So those are all coming in the future as well. So also wanted to just let people know the basics for setting up a virtual race are under our RunSignup hub on runsignup.com/go-virtual. And for custom options specific to challenges for all those activity types, then go to runsignup.com/challenge platform. We have advanced guides, video guides, and written instructions on how to set up a challenge from start to finish as well. And one also reminder is it wouldn't be a symposium without a morning run. So we're going to do the Race Joy Rocks virtual 5K. That's going to be Thursday morning. So anytime you can run using the Race Joy app between 5 and 11 a.m. to actually get an experience of how that works. You can run anywhere. It doesn't, you can run it from your home. You can go from the gym. You can go into work and then run from there. It'll submit your 5K time automatically, and then we'll do a debrief to kind of see what went well and have any questions. And tomorrow at 4 to 4:30, there is a phone setup session. So you should also get email instructions on how to do that. But if you haven't yet registered for the morning run, then I definitely recommend doing so. You just go to runsignup.com/racejoyrocks. And even if you don't want to run, you can still spectate and cheer somebody on that you might know is actually running with the map as well. And so I just kind of wanted to open it up to any questions, and thanks for attending.